Let's discuss. Hey everyone, it's Rachel back again with another video, and today I'll be checking out a new track from Imminence called Jaded. I'm very excited. When they were releasing the singles for their last album, I was very into those, though I didn't do much revisiting for the full album. I got the vinyl, signed vinyl, which was very nice, but I haven't done a ton of revisiting, so I'm hoping this will kind of like fire back up my love for Imminence. I love this band. The use of violin, the expression in their screams, they just have a lot of stuff that I really dig, a very sound that's particular to them, so hoping this brings me back in. It's called Jaded, as I already mentioned. The official video that I'll be using in the reaction portion of this, I will link in the description, as well as all of the band's support links and social media. Other than that, I'm going to stop talking and we're going to get straight into it. Answering questions right away. Ooh, breathy. That lead. Oh. Oh. Yeah. Imminence, Jaded. Let's discuss. So I believe this is maybe part of a deluxe release for Heaven in Hiding, so as I had been talking about, for me the singles were really strong, and then when I listened to the full album, it was a little bit hard for me to separate some of the non-singles in chunks of the album, and like it just overall I think it did not vary enough for me, and this feels very on brand with the singles. I do think if it had been released in the cycle of the album as a single, it would be right up there with the other ones that I enjoyed that sort of fell off for me once the full album did come out. With this, I really like the lead I had mentioned, having like that more ambient kind of tappy lead. I love that, especially underneath what this song has to give instrumentally besides that. So not only the violin either, I think just with the rest of the instrumentals, the moments where it gets a bit heavier, having the breakdown that it does. I love the way that they do the heavier sound, but I do think the contrast is something that really plays into that, having the violin, having the choruses like these as well. This has a huge chorus on it. I can definitely see myself walking away with it stuck in my head. I think the formula that they use is becoming a bit predictable, and that's not necessarily always a bad thing. I do think that when it comes to a full album like Heaven in Hiding, that's sort of where it went wrong for me. It wasn't too much to sift through, or like, oh, this track stands out to me, I know which one this was. And I do find that harder to revisit when I listen through and I'm like, oh, I don't have like these immediate tracks other than the singles that stuck out to me, and that's sort of what happened with the album in full. I do think Jaded has its identity enough, but it is very much in that same the same formula, the same, like what I would expect from Imminence, I think. So when they go forward with, newer material, I do think that'll be sort of make it or break it for me with this band. Because when you go back in their discography, they have some outstanding stuff, and I think that when it came to Heaven in Hiding, I was looking for a more thorough feeling release, and not so much, how I'm describing it, sort of blending together a bit. That wasn't how I felt about the band when I found them. So it does feel like a bit of a change, with Jaded being like one of the tracks that I would group in with the singles, which when it came to Heaven in Hiding, that was where like my focus was. I was really hyped on the album for it coming out because of the singles. I think it had a lot of promise. Had it went in some different directions maybe, and I'll need to give the album another run through, a more recent run through. I haven't listened to it this year at all in full, which I guess we're not terribly far into the year, but just to get some more clear thoughts on it, what kind of missed for me, because I do, like I said, I think this follows pretty close to the formula they've been using, but it works for me. I think the chorus, it rides a lot on stuff like that chorus, the lead I'm talking about, that was a big part of the track. Having, the starting off with violin there to kind of, point it out for me, I think I would have noticed it at any point, but it sort of lets you get into the track and be like, all right, I'm going to be looking for some violin here. If you're not familiar with Imminence and don't know, that's something that they use in their discography, whatever it may be. And little details that I think moved it into I will revisit this. I will be curious to see if it's like a lot of revisiting, if it will fall off for me after some time, because I did feel that way a little bit with a few of the, like, I think Temptation was the biggest song for me that they put out recently. That one is like an up here. That's like the bar for me right now with the newer stuff that they've been putting out. And this doesn't come up to Temptation for me, but it's right there. So it's just above where I think that some of the non-singles off Heaven in Hiding sort of like fell through for me. But this will be right up there. So I think it could really go either way as we continue. There's nothing like, obvious that I could point out like, oh, it's this for me, other than that sort of being a bit predictable. And I think I have a lot of it at this point, where I'm not really sure what I'm looking for from this band. And again, I don't want to make it sound like I don't enjoy this song, because the things I pointed out, like, I really enjoy, but I think I'm at like a point with them where it's going to be super important for whether they stay on rotation for me or not, what's to come in the future. But I believe, like I said, this is a deluxe, so it makes sense that this fits sort of the mold for what's already been laid out. But I would be curious as to why this didn't make it on the album, if that's the case, because it does feel a little bit more like it has a bit more identity than some of those non-singles that I was talking about that sort of fit in. But I'm not sure then with the full release if this would take away from the identity the song does have and make it, that I'll be interested to see. So I'll need to give the album a run through, listen to this as well, and kind of make a further decision. But I love that they have stuff that's different, like the violin and how Eddie, you know, he can do the vocals that he does while playing the violin. That always blows my mind a bit. I can't imagine being able to do stuff like that. Those are the aspects that always keep me interested in what they're doing, regardless of how I feel about what they've just done, if that makes sense. So it does feel very on brand for Imminence. It is, I think, a deluxe release maybe, or something that didn't make it off Heaven and Hiding, so it makes sense we're not like opening up a whole new chapter. But I hope that when we go forward, they do, you know, maybe even if it's structure-wise or something, I think it'll help to get something a bit different from them to make it, to make the track stand out a bit more. But those are just my thoughts after first listen. I will put the video I used in this reaction, as well as all of Imminence's social media, all that good stuff, in the description of this video. You'll also be able to find my link tree, which will have all of the links that you may need related to my channel, including the Patreon, which I am working on, the content offered in the tiers. I've got the poll up on the Patreon page for our monthly patron-only stream, which will be towards the end of February, but we're already feeling out what day we will be picking. So if you have any interest in checking out the Patreon, that will be there, as well as the Discord server invite link. The Discord server is where the community is based for my YouTube channel. We have a lot of music-related conversation, a lot of conversation unrelated to music as well. Just kind of a lot going on, so if you're interested in coming to check that out, join us. That will be there. As always, thank you very much for watching. I appreciate it.